everyone, this is Amy Williams here from Skellig with some exciting news. I'm going to be kicking off a life science learning live stream, and I want you to be a part of it. We will be going live in the evening, Eastern time, right after work. So if you have any topics, questions, or softwares that you want to talk about, please let us know in the Google form. It should be linked below, I think. Now, this is open to anybody from any industry because it's going to have a 4.0 focus. But just remember, I'm going to be keeping it from a life science perspective. Now, I do realize this is a pretty weird niche to be getting into. So you might be wondering, why am I doing this? Well, there is a backstory I want to share with you guys. I just had the privilege of going on the Unplugged IoT podcast. Now, my episode might not be up yet, but regardless, I highly recommend you guys go and check them out. It's hosted by Phil Saboa and Ed Fuentes. They know ignition, they're from Australia, they have the best accents, and in general, they're just wonderful hosts who know how to have fun conversations about automation. So it was really cool. I got to share my personal story for why I'm all about the life sciences, especially Industry 4. Now, naturally, after I talk about my journey, they ask the most softball question ever, which is, well, what is life sciences doing right now? That is 4.0. And at that point, you will see my answers get super vague and evasive. What happened was, specific examples did come to mind, and then I realized I don't have explicit permission to share. So I panicked and defaulted to just generic talking points. Hindsight is 2020, so obviously I should have said, well, I can't get into specifics, but broad strokes, we're seeing adoption of what we've done in our virtual plant. And that includes some really cool things like containers, HiveMQ, Tulip, Ignition, HiBite, Flow, and it's growing. But I'm warning you, that did not happen. Now, luckily, Phil and Ed are such amazing hosts that they kept the conversation moving just fine. Now, even though I would say that wasn't my finest moment on camera, I am grateful for it because it made me aware of two things. First, for a consultant, talking about current state of life sciences is kind of a legal landmine. Because if a client hires you and then together you spend a lot of time trying to solve a tricky problem, you can't just turn around and broadcast that to the world. So that sounds fair, but an unintended consequence is it hinders community development. I still feel like we have a lot of reinventing the wheel happening at all these different sites. So that's the first problem. Second, I realized that if I'm going to help drive change in the life sciences, I've got to get better at having public conversations, because that is a different muscle than just recording YouTube videos in your house without an audience. All of that brings me to this idea of a live stream with a twist. The twist is the topic will be approached as if I know nothing. So don't worry, lawyers, absolutely no client experience will be leveraged. Instead, in real time, we're going to be looking at FDA guidelines, the public 4.0 Discord channels, the internet, hopefully the live chat, Ask AI, to try to come up with the solution as a group on our own time. So this is not a podcast, this is not a presentation, it is a live stream, which means live troubleshooting, making mistakes, getting into the weeds, having that dialogue, and working together with strangers to hopefully build up community knowledge. Now listen, I'm not kidding myself. I understand the automation world is small. The life science automation world wants to see development is microscopic. If I wanted views or popularity, I know this ain't it. But I am banking on the small audience it will reach will be the ones who can actually make the impact to actually make healthcare more accessible. So my big plan is this: live stream, anybody from any vertical is welcome. If anyone shows up, involve them as much as possible, try to have a conversation. Afterward, do a LinkedIn post of a summary for knowledge transfer and feedback, because I would love nothing more than to engage with the community. I'd love to hear, oh, you can do it better this way, or that made sense, or I have a follow-up question. We'll kind of see where this goes. And one last thing, it could be fun to do some live software reviews or use cases. So if you have a product that wants to be covered, definitely suggest it. Just as an FYI, I only like to use things that have free trials. So yeah, that wraps up the announcement. It would be great to hear what you think, so please fill out the form for anything you want to be covered, and I hope to talk with you guys soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.